we are back for another at-home science experiment. Today we are going to be investigating acids and bases by doing the purple cabbage experiment. So this experiment is just a little bit different than ones we have done previously because it does require some preparation and maybe even a trip to the grocery store. So if you're not able to do this, that's okay. You can just follow along with the video and watch the science unfold as I do it. But if you are able to and you want to create the experiment with me, what you will need is a small red cabbage. Then these materials, you don't need them all, but it would be great if you did have them all. And that is Windex, lemon juice, vinegar, and baking soda. Then you will also need some clear cups or glasses to put your liquids in. So let's get started. So before we get started on our actual experiment, I do want to go over the little bit of prep work that you need to do if you are choosing to do this along with me. An adult should do this part because it involves boiling water, which is pretty dangerous. So make sure an adult is doing this part again, just to be safe. So what you're going to do after you get your small red cabbage from the grocery store is bring a large pot of water to a boil. You don't need to measure this out, just fill it up about 3/4 of the way. And then after the water starts to boil, you just are going to rip off each leaf of the cabbage until the cabbage is basically gone and just stick it in the boiling water. And I let that boil with the leaves in it for about 5 minutes, and then I took it off the heat and let it sit just on its own for about 30 minutes. After that, you just want to drain it to separate it from the leaves, and then you just stick the cabbage juice in the fridge and let it cool. I let it sit overnight, but you don't have to let it sit overnight. As long as it's cool, you should be ready to go. So if you are choosing to do this along with me, make sure you are doing that ahead of time so you have time for it to cool, and then you can put it into the glasses. So now that the purple cabbage juice is ready, you've probably already noticed that I've filled up my glasses. Remember, you do want them to be clear so you can see what's going on inside of them. I filled them up just very little. I didn't measure it out or anything, but you don't want to put a whole lot in there because I've actually found that it's easier to see the reaction that will happen when you have less purple cabbage solution. You can even scale this down to like a Dixie cup size. I just didn't have any clear Dixie cups, so it was easier for me to use the clear glasses and just not fill them up so much. But this experiment can be scaled up or down depending on what your preference is. That would just mean you would have to adjust the amount of materials you are adding in later, but we will use this amount as our example. And then lastly, I want to point out that I filled up 5 glasses because I want one glass to be untouched. I'm not going to add any material to one glass because this is going to be our control glass, the untouched purple cabbage solution. And this is how scientists can find answers when they're doing their experiments, because they're able to compare the control or the untouched glass or whatever it may be in their experiment to the ones that have been touched and see how they have changed. So now it's time to really investigate. I have my baking soda, lemon juice, Windex, and vinegar ready to go. And when you're adding them in, you're gonna want to add maybe about a tablespoon in. Like I said earlier, you don't have to measure exactly, but about this much will be perfect for the amount that I have here if you are following along. And again, if you are doing this experiment along with me, you want to be very careful because even common household items like this can be dangerous if you get them in your eyes or you ingest them. So make sure you're very careful and that a grown-up is helping out. And so before you start doing this, I want you to make some predictions about what you think is going to happen when you add these into the glasses. And then after you do that, go ahead and pause and add each material into the glasses. So we are going to start with our baking soda. Did anyone have any guesses about what might happen once we added the baking soda into the purple cabbage solution? Well, let's find out. Now I'm going to give that a little bit of a stir. So you can see it turns a bluish greenish color when you add it into the purple cabbage juice. Now it's time to test out the lemon juice. Did anyone have any predictions about the lemon juice? So once you add the lemon juice, you see that it turns a different color than the baking soda. It's more of a reddish pink color. Okay, now let's see what happens when we add Windex. So this one's a little bit harder to see. I'm going to give it a little bit of a stir, but really you can really tell at the bottom where the light is reflecting that it turns that same bluish greenish color like the baking soda did. And finally, it is time to test our vinegar. So similar to the lemon juice, it turns that same reddish pink color. Now that we have added all of our materials into our cups, we can really look at them all and compare. Notice that the baking soda and the Windex turn the purple cabbage solution into a dark bluish green color, and the lemon juice and vinegar turned it into a reddish pinkish color. You can especially tell the difference in colors when you compare each glass to our control or untouched glass on the end. So why did the color of the cabbage solution change? Well, this experiment is used to test for different types of molecules called acids and bases. The cabbage juice turns a greenish blue color when it meets a base and a reddish color when it meets an acid. This means our baking soda and Windex are bases and our vinegar and lemon juice are acids. The book that we are recommending to pair with this experiment is called Ada Twist Scientist, and this is one of our favorite books. It introduces so many new science concepts and just starts so many conversations around the topic of science. And if you don't have this book available to you at your house, it's actually no problem at all, because we found this awesome website that NASA has. It's called Storytime from Space. I will have the link to the website for you guys to reference at the end of the video. And here the astronauts are actually reading storytime books from space. So this is an awesome website to check out. They have so many great books, but definitely check out Ada Twist. So we hope you guys enjoyed this experiment, and we will see you later.